Are we going, timer? Thanks very much, Roger. I really appreciate it, and thanks to all of you for coming out and taking a stand on this issue. I live in Laguna Beach, and like most of you, my priority is to provide for my family and to raise my children in a place that's safe, a place that's functional, and a place that's clean. I'm a scientist, a 15-year professor, a tenured professor of neuroscience at the University of California, Irvine, and a CEO and chief science officer of 3 successful biotechnology companies. I'm on my 4th. So I'm a scientist, and I understand how science is put into policy. I've worked with Congress on multiple occasions, putting science into policy and helping them interpret science of policies. I am running for Congress because I became exceedingly fearful at the denigration of both our healthcare systems, but also our environmental protections and policies. You know, we have seen President Trump take us from the Paris Accord. We have seen the active denigration of the Clean Energy Act that Obama put into place, primarily done by Scott Pruitt, telling states that they don't even have to follow the rules while he fiddles with a legality that is ridiculous. This from an attorney general from Oklahoma who fought against the EPA and the Clean Energy Act. We've seen the removal of restrictions for polluters. So we can now have small communities handling the disposition of public lands. So they can be attacked and fought and paid to try to get around federal rules for drilling and mining companies. We see mining companies and oil companies that can now pollute rivers and streams because those have been lifted. So over and over again, we see these policies being denigrated. You know, I was walking on the beach today thinking about what I was going to talk to you about tonight, and I passed people speaking 4 different languages. I talked to people from 3 different states. And despite that beauty of being on the beach on a Sunday afternoon, I found myself, like I usually am, worried that our offshore oil rigs could be put there because they removed, and Rohrabacher voted for the removal of restrictions on offshore oil rigs, that satellites are decommissioned for our early warning weather systems, that radioactivity just 30 miles from us is sitting in containers that have walls that are 5/8 of an inch thick, guaranteed for 20 years, but the radioactivity lasts for 30. We can no longer put up with a congressman who doesn't believe in science generally and who is clearly in the pocket of energy companies when he should be representing a district that could be the bastion of clean energy. It is, and it should be built to be so. We have seen a system, a manipulation of Congress where it rewards individuals who are in the special interests, who are loyal to special interests rather than loyal to their constituents. We've become a nation that is very, very good and works exceedingly well for very few people at the expense of tens of millions of individuals who suffer and pick up and clean up after their indulgences. So I'm running because I promise you that I will use a scientific rigor against this. So very dispassionate and thorough analysis of results, very honest detailing of results, and an accountability in conclusions. We can't stand this any longer. It's becoming exceedingly fearful. I promise you that I'll do my best to bring a scientific rigor to this and be able to deal with this, dig in, and actually affect change. And lastly, I promise you that I cannot be bought. Thank you.